All right, so welcome everyone. This is Confession Corner, and this is our very first deep dive.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. We're going to be looking at all sorts of confessions people post online, and we've got a really interesting one to kick things off with.
Oh, lay it on me.
So this one comes from, let's just call him M27, a 27-year-old guy. And right off the bat, you can tell something's weighing heavily on him. He starts by saying, there's basically no one I can talk to.
Oof. Yeah, you can already feel that sense of isolation, like he's carrying a secret.
Right. And then he explains, I used to work as a gardener at a cemetery. Okay, fair enough. I wasn't getting paid very well. I needed the money, and that led to doing cremations and burials.
So it's one of those situations where life kind of pushes you into a corner. Financial pressure can lead people to take on jobs they never would have imagined.
Absolutely. And I guess at first, it wasn't all bad. He says, at first it was interesting. I enjoyed it, but then, and here's where it takes a turn, I had to cremate people's kids' babies as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that changes everything. The loss of a child is just, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's a whole different level of grief. And it sounds like he knew some of their stories too, which makes it even harder. He says, I know some of their stories too now, and I feel so sorry for them.
It's hard not to feel for him, right? Carrying that kind of emotional weight, knowing the tragedies behind these young lives.
And it sounds like he really doesn't have anyone to talk to about it. He mentions, my partner works in childcare, so I can't really talk to her how I feel.
Oh, man, that's rough. His partner probably deals with kids all day. The last thing she wants to hear about is this heavy stuff.
Yeah, it must feel very isolating.
Mm.
And the next part of the confession gets really intense. So brace yourself. He says, I can't even remember all the people I've burnt. I've forgotten their names. All I can remember is the flames coming, though, people's eyes in the furnace, skin melting away, ribs cracking open from the fire, accidentally inhaling people's ashes, having to scrape and crush the bones, especially the little kids. That haunts me, constant nightmares of people dying in gruesome ways.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack. The vividness of those images, the sensory details. It's almost like he's reliving it as he types it out.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
Right.
And you have to wonder about the long-term psychological effects.
Absolutely. Constant nightmares, these haunting images. It sounds like he could be dealing with some form of PTSD. It's not just about the job itself, it's the trauma that comes with it.
And then he goes on to talk about the company he worked for. And it gets even more depressing. He says, the way the company I worked for talk about these people's loved ones is horrible. See the families just with a dollar sign above the head. How much can we make off them?
Ugh, that is just awful. So not only is he dealing with the trauma of the cremations themselves, but he's also surrounded by this calloused, disrespectful environment.
Right. Like these people are just seen as commodities, a way to make money. No wonder he's feeling so messed up. And then, it's clear that the guilt is eating away at him. He writes, I wish I could say to them, I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry I had to do these things for money. If I could go back in time to not work there, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you can really feel the remorse there. He's clearly struggling with the moral implications of his actions, even though he was in a tough spot financially. It makes you think about how we make peace with ourselves when we feel like we've compromised our values.
It's a heavy question.
Mm.
And then he ends with this. Do I still deserve to go to heaven or am destined to go to hell?
Wow. Talk about a gut punch. He's really wrestling with some deep existential questions here.
Yeah, he's searching for meaning, for some kind of reassurance.
Yeah.
I mean, we started with a guy needing a job and ended up talking about grief, trauma, ethics, and the afterlife.
It really highlights the hidden complexities of life, right? How even a seemingly ordinary job can have these profound emotional and ethical dimensions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it reminds us to be more compassionate, more understanding of the struggles people might be facing behind closed doors.
Totally agree. You never know what someone's going through. And it makes you think, what would you say to M27 if you had the chance? What words of comfort or advice could you offer?
Yeah, that's a good question for everyone listening. Think
Yeah.
about it. What would you say?